What up, what up, what up, football fans all over the world? It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. Good afternoon. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I am Mac the Giants fan here with my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas. How you feeling today, Adam?
Feeling great, Mac. I know we take these little, hiatuses, but it's good to be back with you. We're headed into the latter parts of the off season here. Soon, before you know it, we'll be doing this from July to hopefully February.
Hopefully, hopefully we got to run it all the way to the end last season. I mean, thanks to the Eagles, but hey,
don't sound so excited about it.
This is what we're here for. We cover the NFC East, and we do it with we keep it real. You know what I mean? Right now, Eagles are the kings of the mountain until somebody knocks them off the top, man. But right now, it's NFL schedule release day. Obviously, the whole schedule has not been dropped yet. Not until later on, but we'll talk. We can still talk about some of the matchups that we know. We just don't know exactly the dates, but we got some other news to dig into as well, man. Let's start with the Cowboys making a big move this past week, man. Getting a trade, acquiring George Pickens, a receiver that I remember a few years ago in the draft when he came out. I remember how high you were on him, and it was really upset that the New York Giants passed on him for one, Mr. Wan'Dale Robinson. So, how do you feel this move impacts the Dallas Cowboys, man, going forward?
Well, first off, I didn't know you remembered that. Although I do beat the drum every once in a while when he does well. But yes, I was very upset with George Pickens. As you know, that year I was a little bit more involved in the draft with more players outside of this year. This year I was quarterback centric. Next year, folks, I'll get back to my old Adam ways and study all the players. One of the players I studied happened to be George Pickens, and we were in the market for a receiver. And I said, why not get this guy? Oh, well, you're going to on the field problem, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, the Giants have never had a receiver like this in a long time. Let's get him. You know what we chose? We chose a Smurf. We chose a Smurf, Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, I don't know about you, Mac, but I look at both their careers, and Wan'Dale Robinson is far less the player that George Pickens is. I'm just saying. I mean, I know people.
I will, in Wan'Dale's defense, say George Pickens has had slightly better quarterback play than Wan'Dale. Also, I mean, he's had some more competence at the quarterback position than Wan'Dale. I mean, I'm not saying he's the player that George Pickens is. George Pickens has established himself, I think, as more or less at least a one A, like a 1B kind of type receiver. He's like, to me, he's like the in between. He's maybe not quite a full-blown one, but he's a little better than the two, if that makes any sense, if that makes any kind of any sense.
Let me break it down like this, okay? If you look at the Eagles receivers, they have 2 1s, right? Devontae Smith is what George Pickens is going to be for the Cowboys, right? They both could be number 1s on probably anybody's teams, but they're essentially 1Bs or 1As or however you want to categorize them, right? So, these two teams have big-time receivers. Anyways, all being aside, fine. Wan'Dale, I'm sorry that he had bad quarterback play. So did Malik Neighbors. He went over 1,200 yards. But that's here nor there. My point is, we could have had this guy, a red zone threat, a guy that was pretty freaking good for Pittsburgh when he came in there. Pittsburgh. So let's look at these numbers, folks. Okay, he played 17 games as a rookie. He had started 12 games. He had 800 yards, and his rookie year. Okay, not bad. Great, right? His second year, he had 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns. This year, he had over 900 yards, right? Again, quarterback play. They didn't go to him. I think he's going to have a breakout year in Dallas. Okay, folks? He's going to a team where the quarterback play, we just talked about the quarterback play was not great, right? Well, guess what? He's going to elevate that. Whether you like Russell Wilson or not, Dak Prescott's a better passer right now than Russell Wilson is. That's just call spade a
He
spade,
is.
right? So the Cowboys, what were the Cowboys lacking last year on offense, Mac?
Well, they needed another complimentary receiver to complement CD Lamb and,
Exactly.
kind of loosen up the defense on him a little bit.
Exactly. So what do? They went out and they got a guy in George Pickens, who now, by the way, was the number one, was getting all the double teams in Pittsburgh. There was no other receiver in Pittsburgh that did anything to help George Pickens out. Now you're going to put CD Lamb on the other side of him? I'm just saying, folks, let's look at this, right? The Cowboys, which we watched last year, had a okay offense with just CD Lamb, who was banged up most of the year. And they force-fed him the ball because they had nobody else. They had a washed-up Brandon Cooks. They had rookies all over the place who couldn't do shit. They were using Devontae Turpin, their return man, as a receiver. Now they get a bona fide stud at the 1 or the 2 or the 1A, however you want to look at him. XYZ, whatever you want to say, that's what they got. And guess what? He's not going to see the team's top corner. He's not. And I hate to compare them to the Eagles, but if you look at the Eagles, right? They have A.J. Brown. You double A.J., Smith's open. You double Smith, A.J.'s open. You double C.D., Pickens is open. Pickens is doubled, now you got C.D. open. Like, that is just what you're looking at, right? And Dak Prescott has done well in many different offenses. I know that they had Brian Schottenheimer as a coach. I get it. And that could be something that you look into. However, he was with the Cowboys the last couple of years. The offense may not change much. He may not be a great head coach. Fine, but I'm not thinking that the offense is going to be that much different. With that being said, Dak can run this offense, and he likes to get the ball out there to many different receivers. And he's haven't had two bona fide studs like this on his team. You already see what he does with CeeDee Lamb. Now imagine George Pickens on the other side. Now, granted, he's got the Cowboys have got two firecrackers at receivers right now, right? There's a lot of explosion that could happen. Now, I'm not talking about like down the field. I'm talking about just personality-wise. So while the move is great, and I think that it will help them and it will open up both guys, there is a lot of volatility there where, things go awry. There could be some issues. But they get him on a cheap deal. He's only like $3 million. He's going to be in a contract year, all right, playing in one of the biggest teams in the world, with a quarterback, the best quarterback play he's seen since coming to the NFL. And oh, by the way, he's only 24.
I mean, look, I hear you, and my thing with George Pickens is not really on the field. I mean, obviously, we know what the guy can do on the field. His tools, I mean, he speaks for himself. But I think the thing, it's really more him. It's what he needs to, humble himself as far as the attitude off the field. Like, look, everything's not always going to be perfect. You're not going to get every ball thrown your way, especially now with CeeDee Lamb playing opposite of CeeDee Lamb. You just got to kind of know your role, understand, and be productive. Like Devontae Smith, for example. It's a great example in Philadelphia. Just be productive. Like they said, Devontae Smith could be a number one receiver on pretty much most teams around this league, but he plays with A.J. Brown. So he kind of has to just accept that role. George Pickens is already kind of coming in, talking about what kind of money he's looking to make and all this, that. But you gotta go out there and you gotta show that you're worthy of that. It's not just on the field, but also, just being that good teammate, being that good team guy, a guy that's willing to step up and do what you got to do for your team as well. I think it's a great pick. I think it's definitely what the Cowboys needed. As far as, like I said, talent on the field, George Pickens he's like you said, he's been lighting it up. He hasn't had the greatest quarterback play, you're right, throughout his career, but this is definitely an upgrade, but I think this move could be strong for the Cowboys. I mean, also just in the addition of maybe getting a couple of more capable running backs in there as well, and Williams and Miles. The one that played for the Eagles. What the hell? Why am I forgetting his name? That guy. And so this Cowboy team, I could expect a serious upgrade from what we saw a season ago. I mean, it's going to be I think this team can definitely get back to where they were in the NFC East, where they're fighting more or less fighting with the Eagles. I mean, I'm not trying to dismiss the Commanders by any means. Commanders had a great season a year ago, but this Cowboy team, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of were ready to leapfrog back over top of the Commanders once again and take that spot where they're more or less battling it out with the Eagles when it all comes down to it. I think this George Pickens move is a big time move for him. And as long as George Pickens can keep his head clear and just really focus on football and not worry about all the other nonsense, I think it could prove to be a very tremendous move for the Cowboys, and it could really elevate them from where they were a season ago.
Well, if there's any team that does well with malcontent stars, it's the Cowboys. Okay, they figure it out. I don't know what Jerry puts in that elixir for them, but they seem to always get personality-wise guys. Again, there's not Mike McCarthy on the sideline. It's going to be what up, Alex? It's going to be Brian Schottenheimer. So that's where you might want to, just be leery of, because how will he deal with the personalities? How will he be able to, how will he be able to just deal with those? When he, like you said, he doesn't get the ball. Will he be able to, navigate that? And like I said, we've seen it. Micah Parsons is there. They have some dogs over there. Let's kick it over to the defense before we go over to some of the games that they're going to be playing in. Now, folks, I just want to put this disclaimer out. We are a little earlier than the quote-unquote schedule release. The NFL loves to do this little party where, ooh, yay, look at all these games. Great. You make a TV show out of it. Good. You could still do that and release the schedule. But anyways, we're going to get into some of their games in a minute. I just want to click it over to defense. Their defense is still solid. They were in games last year, not against great teams. Like if you look at the Cowboys last year, they lost a lot of their games against better teams, better opponents. They happened to I think they beat the Commanders once, and I do think they went wire to wire with the Eagles at some point, and they beat the Giants twice, right? Not saying much. What I'm saying is that they now have a chance to see if they can beat some of these other teams with Eberflus, Earham that they got in the trade. They've got some guys in the draft as well. Sam Williams is coming back. So I think for them, if they can get a solid defense out there, they'll be able to compete with a lot of these teams. And like Max said, could be fighting for a wild card spot. Remember, this NFC East team is loaded now. It is loaded for bear. I don't think the losing team in the NFC East has 3 losses. I think it's a little higher than that. I think it's like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 losses for the 4th place team in the NFC East. Whether that be the Cowboys, I don't know. But I do think with Eberflus coming in as a defense, I think that'll help them, give them some life. They lost that life when Zimmer wasn't great, but then Dan Quinn left, and their defense hasn't been quite the same since he left. I think Eberflus, who wants to get back into coaching, is going to help this defense out and help out guys like Micah Parsons, and that could help them in the long run.
Absolutely agree, man. Absolutely agree. I just don't. I think last season for the Cowboys was more honestly of an anomaly. That team, it's just too talented of a team that had the results that they had a season ago, and I just don't. I can't expect that this season again, man. I think we're going to see an upgraded team, and just get ready. And speaking of that, I mean, you might as well move into opening day, week 1. They get the honor of going to Philadelphia, taking on the champs, man. Playing the Eagles in the opening game of the season, man. This could be a heavyweight fight right from the door, man. Big time NFC East matchup, and can really get some things established with the start of the 2025 season. How do you feel about this matchup being selected for the opening game of the season?
Well, I'm glad that we're not playing, but it's interesting that they put a division rival game on there. They know all the eyeballs will be watching with Dallas. Dallas always draws eyeballs on prime time. Doesn't matter if they're good, bad, or otherwise. It's just the Dallas Cowboys. And then you have the reigning defending champions in the Philadelphia Eagles, who will be opening their home opener in the link. It's going to be a crazy scene, and I'm going to be front row. I'm not going to be front row in terms of the game, but I'll be in my living room watching it, getting ready for it. I think it'll be an epic matchup. I think you'll really get to see if the Cowboys will be able to. I don't think they're going to win the game. To me, I don't, but I think you'll be able to see if they can match up. I think the Cowboys get the good test. What I don't like is that the Cowboys' second opponent is the Giants off of a 10-day rest and a possible beatdown on prime time. they get 10 days to rest for their next opponent, which is hard, which is going to be tough as we go. But we'll get into those games in a minute. But I just think it's going to be a fun opening game. I really do. I haven't seen a division rival game in a long time and like this to open a season, at least for prime time. I think they got the best one of the bunch. It's either going to be the Giants, Cowboys, but you couldn't do that because the Giants didn't win the Super Bowl, or it's going to be Giants, Eagles, Giants, Commanders. Guess what? They knew what it was. They know the national stage. Opening game, only game on TV. You have the Cowboys who are a national draw. You have the Eagles who are defending champs. Great storyline out the gate.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess it's a great matchup. It's a fun matchup. The NFC East is definitely on the rise again, I believe. I mean, it's definitely starting to work its way back to those glory years again with that just the hard hitting, just the competitiveness of the division. I mean, and it's been down quite a bit over the course of the last decade or so, honestly. But now I think we're really starting to work our way back. I mean, all four teams are moving, heading, and well, the Eagles are already where they need to be, obviously. And then you got the Cowboys, the Commanders definitely trending upwards. And I think the Giants are too a little bit. They may still be pulling up the rear when it's all said and done, to be honest. But at the end of the day, they're still headed. It looks like they're headed finally in a better direction at the very least. But it's just like I said, great. This is a great way to open. Like you said, all eyes on this game, man, and it's a big time matchup to kick the season off. A lot of times these games don't necessarily always have a whole lot of meaning the first game of the season, and this one actually kind of is going to have some meaning. It's going to really have some impact on the NFC East division, just on the season itself, man. So this is a great way to kick the season off. I think Dallas at Philly, man, open up this season, man. I can't wait for it, man. I can't wait to get some real football back on my TV, man. Absolutely can't wait for that. But as far as Dallas goes, like you said, I haven't gotten a lot too much, but I'm seeing here that they also have a Thanksgiving Day matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs, man. So
Listen, wow. It won't be easy for the Cowboys this Thanksgiving, that's for sure. No lowly Giant team with a fourth-string quarterback coming in to play you guys this season. You're going to be on there in Big D with the reigning AFC champs. Oh, my goodness. Like, I know that Thanksgiving has been lackluster this year. This one is box office. Okay, no matter what the Cowboys are going to be, and they're probably going to be competitive, at least, this will be a good one. And we get to see Mahomes in a different setting. I think this is the first time he's ever played on Thanksgiving. I could be wrong.
I don't recall seeing him on Thanksgiving, not that I can remember.
I mean, that's something we probably would not forget, right? But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's exciting to think about. If you're a Cowboy fan, maybe it's not, but at least you get a big time team. You know, I mean, finally, their Thanksgiving is going to be the one that's going to be ruined, and not the other team, aka the Giants or everybody else that we normally see, because they have a great Thanksgiving record. But normally they play a division rival. They play somebody that's kind of easy. One day I want to see the Cowboys against Detroit on Thanksgiving. I know that they love to put them differently, but it would be a fun tradition one year to have them both play each other on the Thanksgiving Day game. But anyways, Cowboys usually get this game, and they usually win this game. This year, not going to be easy. I mean, again, things could change. Teams get injured. Things happen. We know. But Cowboys on Thanksgiving usually is a W for the Cowboys. Guess what? It's going to be a fun one. I can't wait to be in the middle of Turkey and just having that game on in the background and, you know, kind of just, you know, being able to be a football fan and watching, you know, Patrick Mahomes, because I'm just going to enjoy some of these quarterbacks, right? We like to kick them when they're down. Well, this time we're going to see him on a national stage, which we've had with Patrick because he's won a lot, but not on a Thanksgiving stage, right? So this will be fun to watch. I'm excited for the game. I'm not even a Cowboy fan. I'm just a football fan. But, Mac, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely another I mean, we don't know how the season's gonna go for either one of these teams, but I mean, as long as Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes, you expect them to still be good. and Dallas, like I said, I think they're gonna have a turnaround this year. I just really believe that as long as they stay healthy and don't get any kind of catastrophic injuries, I think this team is going to definitely be on the rebound, and this could be a epic Thanksgiving matchup. Like you said, I just like to be able to enjoy the holiday without having to worry about watching the Giants get their ass kicked like we've seen over the last few years on
Mhm.
Thanksgiving. So it's good to have to finally to be able to sit back and just watch another game. And this is like you said, this is going to be could be a fun one because if Dallas is going to be the team I think they may be, this matchup it could be potentially, do I dare say, a Super Bowl preview on Thanksgiving. I mean, it just is. You just never know
Whoa, whoa.
what you're getting, man.
Let's
What you're going to
let's
get here. So
let's clip
I know
that.
that's a lot very
Let's
premature,
clip
folks.
that.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Clip
saying.
that.
There's always a
Listen,
possibility.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I want to clip that because if you're right, you're gonna look like a genius. If you're wrong, we can throw away the file and no one ever has to hear it again. But man, pin it. I just want to hear it because if you haven't been wrong about predicting things and bold predictions. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty big one. And in May, and I hope it works. I don't necessarily hope it works out. I hope it works out for our show that one of our teams ends up there, one of the four teams. But wow, wow. Now I'm going to watch the Cowboy season with intrigue because I want to see if Mac is right that they can put it together because you're not wrong. They have a solid roster. If anybody could make a run, it's the Cowboys. So
Absolutely, that's where I'm at with it. Like you said, if anybody can make a run, it's the damn Cowboys. But
they weren't awful last year. I mean, they were bad, but they weren't like awful. Like we were awful. The Giants were awful, but
well,
they
yeah,
were in games. They won games with Cooper Rush. You know what I mean? Like again against lesser teams, not every one of them, but they hung with the Eagles and the Commanders in games that were actually meaningful for both those teams. Right? It wasn't like they were playing backups against the Eagles and Cowboys. They were playing their starters against Jaden Daniels in that overtime game, and then against Jalen Hurst and everything like that. So, you know, yeah, I'm just saying they didn't. They're not. They have a lot of talent. If they can put it together with, like we said, the coaching staff, maybe you're right. Maybe Thanksgiving we're having a different discussion. We're talking about two powerhouses that could end up in the big one. Cowboys do that. It's their history.
yeah.
They have a bad season, and they bounce back with a good season.
But apparently, the NFL did not want the Dallas Cowboys to enjoy any of the holidays this season, as they're also back on Christmas Day, taking on the
Again,
Washington Commanders on Christmas Day on Netflix,
Commanders
man.
and Cowboys on Thursday night, Christmas Day. Oh my goodness! I don't know what I'll be doing. Opening gifts and watching that game because, again, they're probably. I'm sure that the NFL is going to have a loaded slate on that game when the full schedule comes out. I'm sure we'll know. They're probably going to have three games. A 1:00 or noon because they know everyone's home eating turkey, ham, whatever. If you're not celebrating Christmas, you're probably going to the movies or something. At least you have a football game to watch. They know people will be home, and to have that marquee matchup, we get to see again, and two teams who could be fighting for a wild card spot, playoff seeding, or hell, just the fact to spoil each other's seasons, right? There's going to be a lot riding on this game. It's going to be one of those ones where tune in because it doesn't matter what record the Cowboys or the Commanders will be. It's going to be one of those games where we just want to knock your head off.
I mean, absolutely. This is a game that could have, playoff implications. Talking about Christmas Day, so we're down the home stretch of the season there. I mean, playoff implications, all kinds of things, man. Divisional. I mean, we don't know. Like we said, we don't know how this season's going to go. I mean, it's not looking likely, but say the Eagles fall off a little bit this year, and it's Washington and Dallas battling it out down the stretch for the division title in the NFC East. I mean, it's all kinds of things here. This right now, this matchup could also be a huge one on Christmas Day for the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders, man. So far, that's really all I got for the Dallas Cowboys as far as any of their schedule Their scheduling. I don't have anything else for the Dallas Cowboys as of yet. That's official. I mean, we know some of their obviously know all their matchups, just don't know when they're going to be.
Hmm. I'm all good too. Can only talk about
But
what information you have, right? And we don't have all the games out yet, but we know that they play. They play the Chargers. They probably play Green Bay. I'm looking for the rematch against Detroit.
yep,
They had that epic game a few years ago where they went toe to toe with Detroit. So I'd like to see how they do. Want to see how they play against Minnesota. Remember, Minnesota's probably going to be a powerhouse. So we'll see.
absolutely. But New York Giant. We go to start some New York Giant news, like you said, bringing in Gabe Davis for a visit. The impact that he could potentially have if he gets added to the roster, added to this receiving core. That's other than Malik Neighbors is a little lackluster. Uh, how do you feel about potentially adding a Gabe Davis to the roster? You had a pretty down year in Jacksonville after a couple of good years in Buffalo. So you think there's anything he can really bring to the New York Giants receiving room?
I don't know. A lot of people are excited, a little bit more excited about it than I am. It tells me where is he going to fit in. I mean, you've already brought in guys like Little Jordan Humphrey, Zach Pascal. You'll have Bryce Ford Wheaton on the roster just to talk about the back end guys, not to mention the top four, which are probably Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, Wandell Robinson, and Malik Neighbors. Where do you fit in there? Because if you taking snaps away, I had a conversation this afternoon, and we were talking about, the person I was talking with, they were like, oh, well, Darius Slayton's going to lose snaps. I said, but they just paid him. You're not just going to now all of a sudden turn around and not give him
Yeah.
number two, at least a chance to be number two for Gabe Davis. And then that means like where's Jalen Hyatt if you do sign Gabe Davis? Because at that point he gets pushed down the depth chart because you know that he's going to have familiarity with the offense. He's Joe Shane's guy, even though they drafted Jalen Hyatt, right? And he can play special teams, which Hyatt doesn't do. So that eliminates that. So to me, I would rather, this is just me, I'd rather see Jalen Hyatt than Gabe Davis. I would rather see some of the guys you brought in-house than somebody else's retread. Now, don't get me wrong. I know he went to Jacksonville. It didn't really work out for him there. Let him go back to Buffalo, where they actually need a receiver. They could use a receiver. He could go there, fit in, be familiarized with Josh Allen. Here, I'm not saying he wouldn't be able to do that, but we already are loaded with guys. And then not only that, the Giants went after some free agents like the kid from Wells, the Antoine Wells kid from Ole Miss. I want that guy to possibly make the team or make the squad. And you're not going to do it when you're bringing a retread like Gabe Davis. I like him. I'm not trying to take anything away from Gabe Davis. If you had signed, Darius Slayton to a minimum deal of like $10 million, something like that, and you didn't commit to him long term, bring in Davis. We could see what we could do, but why not just see what you got on the roster and let the chips fall where they may. Gabe Davis is not saving this offense. I mean, he's a good big red zone target. He could be, but at whose expense is he coming at? Because if he's coming at Jalen Hyatt's expense, then you might as well trade Hyatt if you sign Gabe Davis.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, Adam. I'm right there with you on pretty much everything you just said. I think a lot of this fan base has just seemed to be overly excited about potentially getting a Gabe Davis, and I'm just like, did you watch Gabe Davis last year in Jacksonville? I mean, it's just, I'm sorry. I mean, when he was out there in Buffalo, sure, he had a couple of big years, and I get it. And it got Jacksonville to offer him that contract that he got paid a little bit, and he went down to Jacksonville and he laid an egg, man. Now, I just don't. I don't see the. I feel like he's not really any better than what they already have on the roster as far as the Giants. It's not like he's some kind of a major upgrade. Is he really truly that much better than like a Darius Slayton or even a Wandell at this point? Or Jalen, like you said, Jalen Hyatt. I mean, like you said, if you're going to bring in a Gabe Davis, what does that mean for like a Jalen Hyatt who already has slipped so farther down the depth chart than I would like? Uh, it's just to me, I just don't. It doesn't move the needle for me enough. It doesn't get me excited as a fan just to be like, oh yeah, let's bring Gabe Davis in. I just feel like You've upgraded the quarterback position. Quarterback room is definitely a better room than it has been, and I almost rather to see what these guys can get out of these receivers that we already have. We already, like I said, you got a dog in Malik Neighbors, who I expect to just go off and explode this year, like all pro, like maybe to even all pro this season. And then you may get a better version of Wandale Robinson. You don't have a quarterback throwing the ball at his feet, and you can maybe pick up some yak and do the things that he's supposed to be good at. And then Darius Slayton, you got a quarterback that's not scared to throw the ball down the field, and launch them deep balls. So maybe that brings out a better Darius Slayton as long as he can actually catch the damn thing. And maybe that can also open up things for Jalen Hyatt as well, with that speed of Jalen Hyatt getting downfield, running past the defenses. You got quarterbacks in the room now that will launch that deep ball. You don't have that the guy that's been here, that's been checked down Charlie for the last 5 years. You just don't have that guy anymore. So I just rather see what we can get out of these receivers that we have. Like you said, you re-signed Darius Slayton for a reason. So at this point, I just think Gabe Davis is more or less overkill because he's just, to me, in my opinion, not that much of an upgrade anyway. This is the way I feel about it. So I almost rather them just move off of that and just move forward and worry about some of the other needs of this football team.
I mean, I'm not going to get excited for a guy that's getting signed in May. Right, like we're not talking about a big time signing here. He may not even make the team, right? And if he doesn't make the team, who's he pushing off? I will say this: looking at the Giants roster right now, Mac, you're a big guy of talking about things like this. Teams are going to want to pluck players off the Giants roster this year for the first time in probably 4 years. I would say there's going to be players that are good enough to make our team. But because of a numbers game, because of maybe injuries or draft picks or whatnot, we're going to have to let go. Question is, will we be able to get something of value for them? A Jalen Hyatt comes to mind, right? If you're going to sign a Gabe Davis, and Gabe Davis makes the team, and Jalen Hyatt's on the bubble, find a suitor, find a potential buyer for that guy, whether it's a 4th round, 5th round, whatever it is. As you saw in this year's draft. Those draft picks are valuable to use as bargaining chips to move up and down the board if you want to get somebody and have conviction in the guy, right? In the last few drafts, because of this new wage scale, and now teams being more brazen and bolden to get players because the talent pool is getting smaller and smaller with the top 100, you're seeing guys move up and down the board, not to just get quarterbacks, but look at what Atlanta did, get defensive players, to go get an offensive player here and there, right? So those back-end picks are very valuable. Don't just cut them for nothing if you're going to cut them. This is if they sign Gabe Davis, right? And make sure that some of these roster cuts that you're going to get, for example, the Saints need a quarterback. They just lost Derek Carr. They have Tyler Shuck and fucking, and Spencer Rattler on the team. If I'm the Eagles, I have Tanner McKee. I have Kyler McCord on my team. I'm calling them up and saying, hey, let me make a trade, right? Tommy DeVito, I'm not saying that's a guy you want, but let's say he's having a great camp or something like that. Or even Russell Wilson, if you think that Jackson Dart is outperforming him. You know what? We got Russell Wilson here. Let's get a 3rd round pick for him, right? Something like that. If you are seeing that this is what a good roster does, this is what good roster building is, don't be afraid to make a move. Don't worry about, people are going to be mad I traded Jalen Hyatt. Well, guess what? If you got a 4th round pick for Jalen Hyatt or a 3rd round or a 5th round pick for Jalen Hyatt, and you trade up and get a better player next year with that pick that you got for him, isn't that a better outcome than just having him walk away and not getting anything?
I couldn't agree more. And then just also on the Gabe Davis thing, like, okay, you bring him in another receiver, but you also got to remember the Giants, they're kind of loading up that tight end room as well. And I know usually you're probably not going to keep more than 3, maybe 4 tight ends on the 53.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you got Theo Johnson, Bellinger, you drafted Thomas Fidone. And you got Chris Mahertz, you got a couple other guys that could make some noise in camp. And see how that's going to shake up too. And so it's only one ball. There's only one ball to go around, man. And
It's
I just,
true.
like I said, I just don't really want any parts. I'm just not that. I'm not gonna say I don't want any parts of them at all. I'm just saying I'm not going to be overly excited one way or the other. You know, it doesn't. It's not going to matter to me if we don't sign them. If the Giants don't sign them, it's not, and I'm not going to be like overly excited if they do. It's just not a needle moving move to me. I feel like there's
Well,
other things you need to worry about and focus on.
it's interesting that he's being brought up because the parallels are, oh, he's Gabe Davis, he knows the offense. Well, that's great and all, but again, if you unless you know Gabe Davis is going to want to be a starter at some point, so unless you know he's coming in and going to be accepting of the role that he's going to play, I don't see what the purpose is, right? Because you have all these DBs that the Giants got, you have all these receivers, you have all these tight ends that you just got, you have a ton of running backs now. So now you're going to bring Gabe Davis to do what? As a camp body? Because ooh, he needs a job. Like I said, this guy should just wait for the season, wait till somebody goes down, and then pick and choose where he wants to go, right? Coming to the Giants to me is a desperation move and one that I don't necessarily need to see. I need to see the young guys. I need to know if Hyatt can play. I need to know that. It's like right now, it's like bringing in a washed up guard and saying, well, we're going to play him again because we're not sure of Evan Neal. Let Evan Neal fail. Let him fail. And then if we decide we want to move on for him, we can move on from him, either trade him someplace else because somebody might want him, or, he'll suck and you just let him go. But my point is, right now, and I think we need to before we get into their schedule, I think I'm going to put this out there. This season's not about winning, okay? I hate to tell you that, people. I know people want that. This season's about building foundations, competitiveness, and building the longevity portion of your team. What do I mean by that? These guys need leadership. They need to come in here. They need to understand how the offense works. Who's going to be on here? Who the next steps are? Because now that they got a quarterback on this team in Jackson Dart, they've reset the clock a little bit. And now, for me, I want to see some of these players play. And you have a quarterback now in Russell Wilson who's competent enough to move the offense up and down the field, who's competent enough to get your guys set. I want to see the evaluation. I want to see what we're going to be. I'm not necessarily caring about wins and losses. I do think that they need at least 6 wins to keep their jobs. At least Brian Dable does. And they need to see at least Jackson Dart at some point, which leads us into the season and how it's going to pan out. I know that we have all the games for the Giants. We could probably go through some of the matchups if you'd like. But that's what I want to see. Young guys this year.
I just want to see the progress, man. Like you said, it's the reality is, look, if you think the Giants are going to make this Washington Commander like jump from a season to no, that's not realistic expectations. I mean, the schedule is brutal, the team is young. I just want to see the progress. I want to see competitive football getting played for the New York Giants again. Last year, that was my biggest problem with the season. I wasn't. It's not. I don't have a problem with when you're just kind of bad because you're just not as good as the competition. But we were not a competitive football team a season ago, and that was disappointing. And I want to see the Giants get back to looking like they belong on an NFL field because they did not look like that a season ago. When you got fans flying banners across the stadium before the games, that's just never a good look, man. It's never a good look. And it was deserving because that's the kind of play you were getting. I mean, I refused to want to spend money on this football team a season ago because it was just that pathetic and that bad. It was the 100th season of the team, and that was the effort that we got all year long. Like 10 points a game at home. Come on, you got to do better than that. You're not going to win. You're not going to win games scoring that little bit of points. You got to be able to find a way to put points on the board. I think the defense has potential to be a really, really good group. I mean, on paper, it's looking pretty damn good right now. So definitely major upgrade on that side of the ball. But the offenses has some upgrades as well. Just got to see it all pan out, man, and see the development of Jackson Dart. I would like to hopefully he gets on the field at some point this year. I mean, I think that would be it would be beneficial for him to get on the field at some point this year.
At least 4 or 5 games.
But just got to see how things go. Like I said, just want to get back to right now. You gotta take the baby steps first. You can't just look for it all. Like I said, things that happen with like Washington, and even if you want to go to Houston and stuff like that, the last couple of years, those are more or less anomalies, man. You're not going to see teams make quite those kind of turnarounds quite like that. That's not, you can't expect it. But you got to see is the progress. And looking forward to seeing that journey this year. The Giants' schedule is definitely not for the weak at heart. It gets off to a brutal start right from the beginning, man. The Washington Commanders, Week 1 at Washington, a place where the Giants traditionally do usually play pretty good. I mean, they went up there a season ago, and they played a pretty good game. Did everything they needed to win the football game, except they were unable to kick extra points.
Mhm.
So how do you feel about kicking the season off in the division against Washington? And look at the NFC East Week 1, locked and loaded Week 1 in the NFC East, big time divisional matchups, man.
Well, I think Giant fans, you need to, buckle up because it's not the same old Commander team that you used to beat up on, and they're not looking at the Giants as the same old team that used to get, beat them up. And they're going to be their Super Bowl. I know you guys may think that's egregious to think about, but they got to come out hot. And if you were to compare this year and last year, Commanders were clearly a better team than us last year. Now we didn't lose much in terms of players and all that stuff, so we're not necessarily a different team, but they have a different mission than we do. Their mission is to compete with the Eagles and be in that final four, the final two, right? That's what their goal is. That's why you get Debo Samuel. That's why you go out and get Laramie Tunsil. That's why you go out and do all those things that Washington does, and we'll get into them in a little bit. As for the Giants, this is the game that needs to define your season. How are you going to be remembered? The last 2 years, they've had opening games. They've got the doors blown off. The one time they were competitive and or won, their season turned around. In 2022, when we played the Tennessee Titans, we ended up winning that game, right? And it propelled the Giants to a 6-2 start, and obviously a different schedule then. But again, still a tough schedule, tough road to hoe. Build that confidence, right? So this is the real deal here. No pun intended with the show. We're going to find out if we're going to pretend this year and just be competitive, meaning just be the team that we think they are, or you're going to exceed our expectations by going out and being a division foe. Now, it's going to be a hostile environment. It's a home opener for them. They just came off a beatdown from the Eagles that they've been stewing about for probably the last, six. They're going to be stewing about for the last 7 months. That's all they're going to hear about come training camp. Oh, you lost the Eagles divisional round championship game. You lost them. Well, that's what they're going to come out and want to do. And they're going to want to kick our ass to start to let the NFL know that we are not a slouch. Now, the Commanders went out and proved last year that they could win some big-time games. The Giants have not. The Giants barely beat anybody last year. They beat – I don't even know who their first win was against, but I know they beat the Browns.
The Browns was the first win.
They beat the Colts, and then there was the Seahawk win in there. The only win that they had that was credible was the Seahawks. So now you're coming in with, a coach on the hot seat, a lot of expectations that you just need to everyone says they need to win. I just think you need to look good. Come out there and look good. Score points. Be in the game. You lose because of a fucking missed field goal. Fine, I can accept that. But if you lose because the coach is dumb, doesn't add a kicker, or you do stupid shit and you look undisciplined out there as a football team, that's what I'm going to have a problem with. We clearly know Commanders are better than us right now. That could change in the next 6 months, next however month we have till the start of the season, next 4 months, excuse me. That could change, over the summer. But right now, opening game, make a statement, try to win that game. Do I think they will? I don't. But I think it'll be competitive because the only reason I don't think they're going to win is because it's in their building, and the Commanders have got to win this game in the division and have got to win a game that they believe that they're better than us. If they believe that they're better than us, they're going to have to prove it on Sunday.
Well, here's my thing with the Giants right now is that this team is 0-6 in the division this season to go, and and to me that's just unacceptable, man. And if that doesn't fire you up to want to come out and try to win this, get this opening week win, I don't know what else can. I mean, granted, like you said, everything you just said is correct. The Commanders are a better football team. That's just flat out better. I mean, they're just a more talented team, and they're coming into this week one with a sour taste in their mouth as well. Like you said, they got the doors blown off of them in the NFC Championship game by the Eagles. But with that being said, this New York Giant team, that's got to be the ultimate chip on your shoulder coming into this game. Like I said, after going 0-6 in the division a season ago, that's just not something like that at Giant fans that we've grown accustomed to not even be able to even get a couple of wins against your division rivals during the course of a year. It was a rough season for the Giants, man, last year, obviously for a lot of different reasons. And I think I'm actually going to go with the Giants in a close one this year. I think the Giants actually nipped the Commanders in a close one in week one, man. I think they actually get it done. I just feel like they're going to come in like gangbusters, man, because you just got to be determined to get that W, man. You got to. It's just, to me at this point, you got to prove that you can play within at least, if nothing else, you can play with the teams within your division. So that's just how I feel about that one. I mean, do I believe the Giants? I mean, when it all said and done, I think they're going to still probably pull up the rear in the NFC East next year. I think so, but I think they'll get off to a decent start here with a big win against the Commanders.
I mean, I could see that happening. I just we'll see how the Commanders come out, because Quinn's going to have that team prepared. They're going to know what their goals are, and I know that even though Russell Wilson's going to be here, both teams. It's going to be a fun game. Let's put it that way. I don't think the Giants are going to get the doors blown off like they did against Minnesota, but I can also see them, being like the last game where they were pretty even, and it comes down to a kick here, a kick there, and just being in their building is what. If they were in if we were Giants Stadium, I would probably give the edge to the Giants, but they're going to be in their building. They're going to look at the Giants and they're going to be like, "We need to get this one." I think they pull out all the stops. That's just me. But on to week 2.
Still in the division, week 2. Dallas Cowboys, man, on the road at Dallas. Giants starting off the road in the division, back-to-back weeks, divisional opponents on the road. Dallas, week 2, man. Let's talk about it.
It's one of those games. It's going to be. We're going to find out again. Another litmus test. The Cowboys have beaten us. Dak Prescott is 8-0 against us, and the Cowboys beat us last year twice with a backup quarterback as well. They're going to be in Jerry's world with 10 days off. I think this is a game where, unfortunately, the Giants, again, come out strong, but just don't have enough with the Cowboys, who are going to be frothing at the mouth. Again, you're going to they're probably going to get beat down by the Eagles, and they're going to come home, 10 days rest, looking at us saying, we want to get our first win here. Let's go out and do it. And the Giants are ripe for the picking. And I know people go, Adam, you're so negative. I'm just giving you what I think. Do I think the Giants, if they were playing at home, would have won this game? I do. But this Cowboy team, they're going to be feisty in their building. Again, I'm basing it on their building and what I see. I'm not saying the Giants are going to not necessarily win, but they've got to win one game. So just because I picked them to lose against Washington, maybe I'll pick them to win here in Dallas, but it's going to be tough. I think it's a 1:00 game, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of odd for Dallas that early. 1:00 at Dallas. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I think Dallas is only an hour time difference anyway.
No, I'm just saying. Normally that's how bad the Giants are. We don't even get the 4:00 Dallas game. We get the fucking 1 p.m. Dallas game. What's up, Joe, man? Well,
I was going to say, Yeah, I agree with you here, Adam. I think this is a another one of those. This here is the Giants have had their struggles against the Cowboys, and I think the struggles will continue here, man. I think this might be like you said, Cowboys. I do kind of expect the Eagles to take care of business week one in that opening game against the Cowboys, and I think that it'll be a tough matchup for the Giants playing a well rested Dallas Cowboy football team coming off an L and wanting to get their season on track, get things on track. You know, they don't want things to slip away like they did a season ago. So I think this one will be a tough one for the Giants here to handle. But if they can come out of these first two games with that split, I think it'll be very vital
I think they
in
have
the
to come out with a
rest of
split.
the rest of the way for the New York Giants and how this season could potentially go for them. Coming off with at least with a split here in these first two big divisional matchups.
I think it's almost apparent that they do that. But we can get on to week 3.
Yeah, and then week three is when they just love it, man. I guess they just love it. They kind of got a leak yesterday about this being a prime time matchup because, like they said, this could be the last time that Patrick Mahomes visits the MetLife Stadium, at least playing against the Giants anyway. And you got the Chiefs.
Last
Week
time.
three, Sunday night football in the prime time, man. How do you feel about this prime time slot against the Chiefs on week three,
What I
man?
say to the Giants is don't get blown out. This to me is the game where no one's gonna pick you to win. No one's gonna probably pick you to do anything. Have fun. Go out there and do something. Now, truth be told, there is some familiarity with the Kansas City Chiefs playing Russell Wilson. They've played him twice recently with Steve Spagnuolo as their coordinator. Don't know how Russell's going to fit into this offense right now, so don't know how they will attack us. But I do think that they're going to not be totally, in the dark with who this guy is and have to pull out tape. Again, he's not been in this offense, so we don't really know yet how Russell Wilson's going to execute what we're asking him to do. But with that being said, I do think it's going to be a tough road to hoe because, again, we're talking about Kansas City, a team that's a powerhouse, perennial Super Bowl contender every year, as long as they have PM and Andy Reid, right? And I don't think it ends here. I don't think it stops here. I think they know there's a couple teams in their division that are going to be nipping at their heels this year, and I don't think they're going to be quite as dominant in terms of record wise this year. So I think they're going to need games against the Giants to win divisions and stay on top of where they need to be. And I don't think the Giants are a threat to them. They're probably going to come in here and knock us off. And hey, I'll take a loss. Just don't get blown out. If you can come out there and show me that you're growing and that your guys don't think the moment's too big, and you get a couple interceptions and make Patrick Mahomes look mortal, and they're still a good team. They're well coached. They were in the Super Bowl last year. I'm sure they're going to be pretty good this year. Let's see what you got. Let's see how you fare. And I know that the Chiefs are going to take us seriously because, again, we're playing the AFC West. God forbid they end up tied with the Chargers in the division with the division record and regular season record. Guess who they go to? They go to common opponents like the NFC East. And you don't want to be that team that let the Giants get one on you and you don't win the division, or you end up the 5th seed because you lost to a team that's far in a different state than you are. You're perennial Super Bowl. This is your window of opportunity. The Giants are trying to, trying to get to where you are. Hot take, huh? Nice. Hot take. Brandon says, hot take. Commanders missed the playoffs this year. Could be right.
I mean that could be. I was just kind of talking about that. Like I said, they could take a step back, a little bit of a step back. Just see how this thing can shake up this year. The NFC East is going to be a much different division this season. I do believe, but I just don't see much in this with the Chiefs. This is a tough matchup. I think the Chiefs right now are going to be coming in trying to absolutely annihilate everyone on their schedule. To be honest, just based off of what happened in the Super Bowl a season ago, that memory, a team like that they don't forget something like that. I mean, the way the Eagles just
They were
dismantled
better.
that team in the Super Bowl, I think Kansas City is going to be on a mission this season to just absolutely take everybody out, and I think the Giants are going to fall victim to that Week 3 on Sunday night, and unfortunately in prime time, I can see this one honestly being a blowout, man. I mean, maybe the Giant defense keeps them in it a little bit, but I just don't think the Giants' offense can score points to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. I just don't see it.
Well, that's why they play the games, right? So we'll see.
Yeah, but and then after that, another AFC West opponent hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert coming to town, man. Jim Harbaugh, he likes to run the ball, likes to pound that rock, man. So I don't know what you expect in this one.
Well,
Another playoff team once again
finally,
starting the season
Justin
off with four
Herbert.
straight opponents. Oh, excuse me, not the Cowboys didn't make the postseason, but
Well,
3 out of the first 4 opponents were
yeah, that's pretty.
postseason teams of the season to go.
We talked about 11 wins for Washington, 11 wins. I think at least 11 wins for the Chargers, and of course 15 wins for Kansas City, right? And again, I don't want people to think I'm a jerk here, but I just believe the Chargers went to the playoffs last year, who unexpectedly went to the playoffs last year, right? Now know their identity, have their quarterback. Herbert finally gets to come into New York MetLife Stadium. We get to see how he does, and I think they're going to look at this team again, like Kansas City looks at this team as a stepping stone. Not that the Giants aren't going to be a better team, and not that the Giants won't be competitive in this game. As a matter of fact, you're probably going to see a close game that the Chargers eventually are going to just overtake because they play in a better conference, they play in a better division in terms of all the teams in there and who they play. So does this mean are we shameful if they happen to you know are they shameful if we happen to look at the Chargers? No, but I think the Chargers are going to be a tough out, and I think they're well coached, well disciplined. We still haven't figured out if our run defense is good yet. Um, that will be the key here. If they can't stop the run, it doesn't matter who we put out there. We're going to not win games. So we'll see.
What's going on, Miss? Coming in the chat hot 8-9 prediction on the Giants. 8-9. I gotta see. I haven't really dug that quite that deep yet. 8-9 that would be quite impressive if they could pull off an 8-9 record with this schedule, man. That's brutal, man. To say
Well,
the
if they
least.
put off 8-9, you're not seeing Jackson Dart. That's really what it is. What you need to do is we want to be able to see Jackson Dart at the end of this season. So it's really gonna be the first 10 games how we come out, right? If the first 10 games, we we're not 500, well then put the kid in. Put the kid in.
Well, how about this? Because might as well while we're talking about this, and we brought it up. Okay, Jackson Dart. He's coming in here, and he's actually kind of coming in here to the New York Giants in a similar way as Eli Manning back in 2004 and or three or whatever year that was. Now I can't
2004,
even
right?
remember, but he's coming in here kind of similar. You got a veteran quarterback, that's going to definitely be here to start out things in September, like Kurt Warner for Eli, now Russell Wilson for Jackson Dart. And Kurt Warner wasn't actually playing like horrible football. He was playing pretty good football. He was playing pretty winning football. The Giants had a winning record, but they just decided, they had to see what they had in their first round pick in Eli Manning. So they went to it. They went to the rookie anyway. I mean, and it kind of the wheels kind of fell off the rest of that season. But you at least got to take a look at Eli and see what they had and knew that he was the guy to proceed with going forward. Do you see a similar scenario for Jackson Dart? Maybe if Russell Wilson's maybe not necessarily playing horrible, but you just got to take a look at the rookie.
Well, I think I think you'll get to see him. I don't know if it's going to be the same way. I don't think they'll. If their Giants are 5-4, I don't think the powers that be are going to pull necessarily Russell Wilson at the time. They're going to try to ride the thing out. The Giants are going to do that. They're going to try to win games, and when they're damn near mathematically eliminated, they're going to put him in. But to me, I believe he needs at least 4 games or 5 games under his belt. I don't want him to go in blind next year and having no experience, right? That does nothing for the Giants, right? You drafted him in the first round. Clearly, Russell Wilson is not the future here, no matter how well he does. And if he does well enough, maybe you trade him and get a pick for him, and you're like, well, we think Jackson Dart's doing well enough to take over. We're going to do it. And right now, all the reports indicate he's having solid mini camps and really kind of adhering to the Giants' way. So a first-round pick means you invested a lot in him. I don't necessarily disagree. People always say, well, you could sit him for a year, blah, blah, blah. Not first-round picks. I think you should sit him eight games at least, right? That gives them a half a season to kind of get some film and see what's under them, right? But they should play to see, especially if this guy's a future guy. Unless you have like a guy like Aaron Rodgers in the facility that still has a contract and you're just drafting this kid to kind of be his right-hand man, that's different, right? This is definitely, like you said, Kurt Warner-esque, where, the incumbent's not getting paid a lot. If the season goes awry, I mean, for all we know, to be honest with you, Mac, for all we know, they could just say, fuck it, and put him in there. Because, like they did, they ripped the Band-Aid off of Daniel Jones. Remember, they had Eli Manning here, and they were going to ride him out for a year, and they said, fuck it, and put him in week 3 because you need to get the offense some juice. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't think we'll see him till at least Thanksgiving, like that weekend, because you're playing some lesser teams, and you may want to get him in some starts, like we played in New England, and then we play Las Vegas. You may want to get him some reps there. But I do believe we'll see him before the end of the season.
Yeah, you definitely got to see the kid out there. Definitely got to definitely see what he's got, like you said, because there was no point going into next year if you have no idea. You know what I mean? You can't go into next year blind.
What if the Giants
You got to know. You got to absolutely know what you got.
Right, and you didn't play the quarterback, and then now you don't draft a quarterback because you have Jackson Dart, right? You want to see if going into next year there's going to be some promise. That's also going to save Dable's job. Russell Wilson doesn't do that. I mean, winning season does that too, but then it's like, all right, let the kid get some playing time. Like McCarthy probably was going to be the starter in Minnesota had it not been for injury to his knee. Right. And then obviously the rest is history when it calls with Sam Darnold. However, to me, Russell Wilson, shouldn't preclude you from starting a kid that you're investing in and giving you time. Again, this is a mentorship and you want him to mentor Jackson Dart. And if Jackson Dart is looking good and picking up the offense and the mental reps or whatever side stuff he's doing, you're like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to elevate him to QB2. Then maybe gets a couple reps, and he gets to throw the ball in there. He just needs to get his feet wet this season. And I think 4 full games against competition, maybe at the end of the season against teams that are fighting for the playoffs, so he can get some type of experience in meaningful football, not just, hey, the Giants suck, so we'll play the Cowboys at the end of the year and we're playing the backups. No, I want him to play where it means something.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Speaking of meaning, nothing. Here's a game I think we might both agree. I think that the Giants should be able to take care of business, as I think the New Orleans Saints will be bottom feeders in the league this season. Based off of what we know about this team right now going into the season, they still don't even have a real legitimate answer at quarterback right now. How do you see Week 5 and the Saints going down in the Superdome?
If we lose to the fucking Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler-led Saints, then everybody should be fired. Okay, this team is in disarray. They have a new coach. Their expectations are lower than ours. Okay, their expectations are: can we field a competent enough football team to get up in the top three next year and get a real quarterback? All right, because to me, as much as I like Kellen Moore, I just don't see the Saints being a great team, especially without Derek Carr. Right? There's no now the competition's out there. There's no ushering in Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler. It's your job to lose. Go seize the day. And if we can't beat that team that's in rebuild mode, then this regime doesn't deserve to be here. Right? I already told you they may take a game from the Cowboys. Well, at this point, they would probably be 1-4, right? At this point, with the schedule, or 1-3, they need to win this game to at least save their season. To be, because if they're 0-4 heading into this game, good night the lights. But if they're 1-3, at least this game you can pull it. You can be 2-3 and try to pull your record up, even though you're playing a tough team the next week. But you got to win this game. If you have any chance of hope, this is the game to win.
Yeah, following that up with a short week, man. The Giants didn't go on to take on the Eagles on Thursday Night Football, defending champions on a short week, and it's be hosting it at MetLife, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot. Eagles, obviously, this is a team that, let's face it, as of right now, I cannot pick the Giants to beat the Eagles right now. We're not even in the same class as them right now. I mean, at least as things stand right now here in May. Hell, things could be maybe different in October. We don't know that yet. But right now, how things stand here in May, Giants aren't ready for a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, let's just face it. Everything I basically said when I just mentioned we were talking about the Kansas City game, I pretty much feel the same way with the Eagles. I just don't think the Giants can keep up with the Eagles scoring points wise, and I just, as much as I think the Giants defense is as solid as I think that unit will be, I still don't think it's going to be enough to hold back the firepower of the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I don't know how you feel about this one on Thursday night.
This is why the game against the Saints is important, because you have to be able to win games. But if you go in, let's put it this way: you go in 2-3 and you lose at 2-4. Okay, your season's probably done, but at least you have the Eagles. And the Eagles, like I said, they're a team that is looking to continue to be good. They've beaten you up before. They're going to beat you up again. They only got better. They didn't get worse. A lot of people think, oh, they got worse. No, they didn't. They if anything, they got better. If anything, they got better. Okay? I was looking at their roster before. They have a new receiving core. They have a lot of different players now that they can use. They have tight ends that they can use. Their offensive line they traded for a couple guys in the O-line. They got a Texans first-round pick at guard. They got Jurgensen at another guard. They have a center as well. They have the right tackle and Lane Johnson, and they got the left tackle in Mailata, right? So they have a lot of players, and not to mention Jeff Stoutland, one of the best O-line coaches in the game. Okay, so if anything, I think they're going to be a little bit more of a bigger team interior-wise. So I think they're going to try to run a lot more football. You saw what they did last year. They dominated teams, dominated them. The best D-lines in football were nothing against his O-line. And they got younger and better with just, by osmosis. And, they've got A.J. Brown, and they have Devontae Smith. And then defensively, they may not have no Kobe Dean, but we talked about them getting Jihad. I forget Jihad. What's his last name? Oh, it eludes me right now. But the linebacker they just chose in the first round. They chose him because guess what? Kobe Dean is injured. He got injured in the playoffs last year. It was out for the year. So how do we know that injury is not going to affect him? So now you got him coming in. This whole defense really being stacked left and right against this giant team that's trying to gel, right? And while we have Paulson and Debo and all these guys, we're going to give them fits. I just don't think we're at that level quite yet. We're not. Yeah. This team is going to be good, but they're not. The Giants are going to be a solid team to watch. They're not going to be an elite team. They're not going to be a dog shit team like the Saints are. They're going to be one of those hovering teams, 6 to 8 win type of teams where games go your way. This is not one of them that's going to go their way.
I agree. I just don't see it. Then you got week 7 coming up here, man, and we're going out to play the Broncos out in Mile High Stadium, man. Bo Nix coming off a sensational rookie season. Sean Payton, very good head coach, man, and the Broncos, another playoff team from a season ago, man. Like I said, this is another one of those. This is one of those. I'm not going to say be out of the realm for the Giants to pull off an upset here, but it would take a hell of an effort.
Yeah, I believe in momentum, and Denver is looking at teams. When you look at the schedule, and again, you shouldn't do this, but this is what they're doing. They're looking down the schedule, saying, "Where can I get some wins? Where can I get some easy games that I can be favored in?" This is a game Denver's going to be favored in. We're going to their building. We don't do well in Denver. We haven't done well in Denver. I don't even know the last time the Giants won in Denver, to be honest with you. And someone can correct me in the chat when that was, but they have just not. It's been a house of horrors over there. They have a solid defense. They have a solid team. They got Evan Ingram right now. I think they drafted a wide receiver. And they got a couple other weapons over there for him to do that. Their O-line is solid. They're in a division again where they're looking at the NFC East as a team where the only team that they're really going to be able to feast on is this team, right? The other 3 teams are kind of a little bit ahead of the curve. Not saying that the Cowboys are going to beat Denver. Not saying the Commanders are going to beat Denver. I know that Philadelphia is going to give them a run for their money. Right, so this game for Denver, when you're looking at it and from their eyes and their viewpoint, they've got to win this game because I don't know what their schedule is right now. So for all we know, heading into week 7, like we are, we're going to be, like I said, 2-4. They need to be 3-3, and they're probably going to look at us like, okay, we need to win this game and really bury this Giant team and season, because I do believe the Giants are going to win a couple games early. I don't know in the middle of their schedules where their season's going to go awry, where they play Philly. They play Philly back to back. I mean, they literally play New Orleans, Philadelphia, and then they go to Philly again, right? So now you're looking at a team in Denver who's got to keep up with the Chargers, who's got to keep up with the Chiefs, right? Who's got to have the Raiders nipping at their heels. This is a game that Peyton is going to have them ready to win. And again, we haven't played Denver well in our history in the last few years, whether that's them coming to our building, losing to Teddy Bridgewater, or us going to them and losing. I just think it's going to be a tough game for them. I'm not trying to poo-poo this season. I am very excited, and for all we know, they could pull an upset off. But let's be honest. Denver knows Russell Wilson. They're not afraid of Russell Wilson. They have the cornerbacks to match up with our receiving core. It's going to be a defensive struggle, and it'll be whatever team's offense scores, and I think they just have slightly better offense than we do.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, bro. Denver's one of those kind of teams where maybe they overachieved a bit last season too, but I think they're still a pretty well-rounded football team, and they definitely made some improvements. I think the Evan Ingram signing is going to prove to be a big one. I think Bo Nixon is going to build a really great relationship with Evan Ingram, and I think that we're going to see Evan Ingram excel even more than he did even in Jacksonville. I think this is a great landing spot for him out there in Denver. So we will see. But then, like you said, then you got the Eagles again, man, going to Philly after that. I mean, I don't feel any differently. I just don't see the Giants being able to beat this Philadelphia Eagle team as of right now. I just don't see it. But I don't know if you feel any differently.
Let's just put it this way. The Eagles are going to want to be in the conference championship game and in that conversation. They're looking at us as it's a cheap win. And what I mean by cheap wins are you know that the Eagles are going to probably win plus 8 games, right? So this is going to be one of those games that gets their momentum going. They already know that they can dominate us. I just think they're slightly better than us in every aspect of the game. And again, they have championship pedigree. They've been to the Super Bowl 3 out of the last 4 years. They've been to the playoffs the last 4 years. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and now I think they'll be in the playoffs this year. So 4 years running, they've been in the playoffs. 2 years they've been in those 4 years. They've been to the Super Bowl and they've won it. Okay, so this is a team that has a long history of winning. Their quarterback's not going anywhere. They're still hungry to win. The only way I see this team losing the Eagles is if they have some type of grandiose explosion or implosion because A.J. Brown does this or this, that, and the other thing, and they're derailed by a ton of injuries. But even then, they're pretty solid on defense where I think they'll be able to get by with not every skill position player out there. So the Giants really got to hope that, a lot of their young guys come through. But again, this could be it right here. This could be, we lose to Denver, we lose to them. This could be curtains for the Giants season right here. This is probably where it ends in terms of mathematically making the playoffs.
Yeah, and then next up, man, the New York Giants host the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers coming off a very disappointing season a year ago, man. Last place in the NFC West. That's how they appear on the New York Giants schedule this year because this is one of the last place games. And I don't think we're going to see that same Niner team that we saw a season ago. I mean, this team's a lot healthier, as long as they can stay healthy and keep their health intact. Christian McCaffrey looks like he's back stronger than ever. How do you feel about this matchup here? I mean, the 49ers, I think last season was more of an anomaly for them as well. I just don't see this team being as bad as what we saw a season ago.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to pick them to win this game just because I think they need a win. And, the Niners always get decimated with injuries. If they stay healthy, it could be different. Now, the 49ers have been in influx. They lost some players. Now, if they get Brandon Ayuk back and McCaffrey back, and some of these other guys kind of come through, Ricky Parasol, I think they got another receiver, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I don't know if I think they drafted one. But they still have Brock Purdy. They still have Kyle Shanahan. Their defense is pretty solid. I think this is a game where they're going to look at us and say, we want to keep our wild card hopes alive. I just think that they, we nipped them in the bud. It's when we're going to sit there and say, oh, the Giants who are 2-7 or whatever, they're 2-6. Oh, they won a game. They're 3-6 here because they surprised the 49ers. So, I don't know. I'm going to pick them to win though.
Yeah, it's hard. Too early for me to. It's hard to pick this one here because you just don't know what to expect from the 49ers this season. But right now, I think this is one where maybe the Giants can pull one off. Pull upset. I mean, maybe it could be an upset. It may not be an upset, but maybe the Giants can pull a win off here just because I think they'll be so battle tested coming into this one. I feel like with the schedule they've had, this could be one of those games where they can find a way to take care of some business. But let's try to speed this up a little bit. Next 3 weeks, we got NFC North opponents, man. At Week 10 at the Bears, Week 11 hosting the Packers, and Week 12 at Detroit. How do you see that little NFC North
I think 1 and 2.
Giants?
I think they'll lose to the Packers. I think they'll lose to Detroit. And I think they'll beat Chicago. Because, again, Chicago doesn't have the same expectations we do that the other teams do. Will they be a better team? Yes, because they have a better coach. They have some solid signings. But I think that's the game. If you're looking at it, the Giants for at least me, the Giants get their 4th win against Chicago, a team they kind of are going to be even against. And I think, this will be the game where, we keep our playoff hopes alive, slightly, but we're pretty much out of it. We're probably 4-9 at this point. Win this game, we come 4-9, and we have like 5 games left to go. And that's when I think you'll start to see Jackson Dart coming out.
I can see. I can see them. I mean, it's a very tough division up there. NFC North is a very tough division. Out of those 3, man, I can see maybe them getting one in. I just think the Lions, I feel the same way, kind of like I do with the Eagles. The Chiefs is just one of those teams with just a little too much offensive firepower for the Giants to keep up with. But I can see them potentially taking on getting the win against either the Bears or even maybe the Packers. I mean, the Packers, they do get the Packers at home, so I'm not going to commit to either one. I just think that they'll win one of those and definitely lose to the Lions. But now we get to December. Let's get to December. Starting off December on Monday Night Football at New England, taking on the Patriots. Man, Drake May's team. What do you feel about the Monday night matchup and the final primetime game on the New York Giants schedule?
I think finally the Giants get another break of a team that's they should beat and they should win. So this to me would be win number 5 for them in the season. I think this is where you would see Jackson Dart, to be honest with you, because it is an opponent that you're not, you know, worried about. The Giants season will be long over by December. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think they're not going to play that many meaningful games in December, but I think they'll be at 4 or 5 wins at this point, and kind of now is your chance to see the kid and see what he can do. So I think this is the game you'll see Jackson Dart. And with that being said, I think he gets his first win against New England.
Well, I think, I think they can get. This is definitely one of those games on the schedule. You look at the schedule, should be a winnable game for the New York Giants. New England Patriots, where they did play a little more competent football a season ago than the New York Giants, they still ultimately weren't really much better than the New York Giants when it really all came down to it, as they were picking right behind the New York Giants in the draft at number 4. So uh, this is just, these are two young football teams be battling it out on prime time. Hopefully, if you do have a Jackson Dart, you get a Jackson Dart Drake May matchup, battle a couple of young quarterbacks. And this could be a fun one on Monday night. It could be potential to be maybe a fun game, but I think the Giants should be able to pull this one out. And then they coming up after that, they have their bye week right. That's their game before the bye week, and then they come out of the bye and they'll be hosting the Washington Commanders in week 14. I mean week 15. And who knows what this matchup, any kind of implications this matchup could have for either team, but more so probably for the Commanders. You would think at this stage of the season. How do you feel about see this matchup going?
Well, it really is. It really just depends on what the Commanders are doing, because if the Commanders are the team that we think they are, then they're going to come in and needing this game to keep pace with either the wild card or whatever they're shooting for, right? Whether that's the division, but one of those games. I don't think necessarily they're trying to. I'm sure they're trying to win the division, but at this point, they might not win the division. So it's more like, let me get my playoff seeding in, and I believe they're going to be a solid team, because I just believe that much in Jaden Daniels, and I think that Dan Quinn's going to keep this team rolling. And I know that there may be a sophomore slump, as we say, but I think again the Giants will. If the Giants do win a game against Washington, it'll be this one. But I just at this point don't know. And if Jackson Dart is starting, I don't think he's going to win that game. So for me, if it depends on how, it really is too early to call, but it just depends on how the Washington is. Because if Washington comes in and they're struggling and they need this game, I think the Giants will play a role of spoiler. But if they're a powerhouse, they're going to come in and want to take this game and cement themselves in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see when we get to December what both teams look like.
Well, yeah, I think this game will probably have a little more meaning for Washington than it does for the Giants, I would think, and I think Washington's going to be a little hungrier for this one. Honestly, I think I'd pick the Giants to get the Week 1 upset over Washington in opening week 1, but I think the Commanders come to MetLife and take this one here in a game that's going to probably mean a lot more. Perhaps it should mean a lot more for them than it should for the New York Giants. And I kind of agree with Mears that they'll just get the season split here with Washington. But after following that, Week 16, you got the Minnesota Vikings, a team that came here Week 1 and absolutely trashed the New York Giants in MetLife Stadium. And we're back at MetLife Stadium. once again for this matchup at this time it's in December. It'll be cold, windy. At this point, we'd like to think you'll see Jackson Dart out there. Maybe get a little Jackson Dart, JJ McCarthy action going on. How do you see about this one? How do you feel about this one?
I think again, if Minnesota is the team that we think they're going to be, I don't think they're going to win 14 games per se. But thank you, Doomsday. Thank you for tuning in. But I don't think they're going to win 14 games per se. But I think they're going to be up there in the wild card hunt, and I think this is a game that they're going to look at. Again, I have the Giants at like 5 wins right now, so I think this is where the Giants. You see Jackson Dart. He plays against a good football team. You see what he's got, and it's going to be a good measuring stick for him because, again, these are the games you want to see. Meaningful football games for these teams down the stretch. And meaningful football in the Giants and means two things this year. It could mean the Giants are playing for a wild card. Great. Or it could mean that we have meaningful football and we're learning and getting these young guys valuable experience for our next step, which is in 2026. When we go into that season, how we're going to build off and build around the newfound quarterback and him and what he's doing, right? So I think Minnesota's going to beat us. I think that, I hate to say that we probably go 0-4 against the NFC Central. I think it should be, NFC North. That's how far you're dating me back, NFC Central. But I think they can beat the Bears. I think they'll be competitive. But if they're playing Jackson Dart, expect a blowout. And it's okay if it's a blowout. As long as he's looking good, offense is running, you got to give him some reps. It's not who you play, it's when you play him, and it's not his fault that the Giants are, they suck where he has to play this hard-ass schedule. It's just how the chips fall. So that's for me. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Adam. Following that Minnesota game, man, we got the Raiders, Week 17, man. New look Las Vegas Raiders. Geno Smith now the quarterback. Drafted Genty in the first round, as well as came back in round 2, and I believe got that receiver in round 2. So it's a new look Raiders team, and we obviously know what Brock Bowers brings to the table. So how can you see what a potential this matchup?
Another
two probably pretty fairly evenly matched football teams in week 17.
This is where the Giants get their 6th win here, I think, in the season. I think you can beat the Raiders. They'll probably just be playing for pride and building like they're kind of in the same boat as the Giants, slightly ahead because their quarterback's a little older and they do have a team. But the Raiders, who knows? Who knows what happens in the AFC? Could they be fighting for a wild card spot? I don't know. But again, this is a team I think the Giants should win, and they better win because again the Raiders weren't that much better than them, and I think you got to keep it a buck. They weren't that good, so.
Yeah, I think this is one here where the Giants, pull one off here out in Vegas. I just don't. I mean, it's an evenly matched. There's like two teams that meet evenly matched. They're kind of on the same level, in the same weight class. This is This will be a Saturday game, most likely Saturday evening game since it's out in Las Vegas. I think so. I think the Giants This is one the Giants should be able to, win. And then they end the season up versus the Dallas Cowboys at home at MetLife Stadium, and what could be an absolutely critical game for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, who knows? Maybe it could be a critical game for the Giants. Hopefully, I mean, if we're lucky, it could be. But most likely could be a very important game for the Dallas Cowboys, depending on how the season goes. How do you see the season ending?
I think the season ends again with another loss because we have Jackson Dart playing here, Eberflus being a veteran defensive coordinator, going to kind of fool the kid, but you're going to see progress, and that's essentially what we want to see. So the Giants will probably be 6 wins, 6-11. Maybe they split because the Cowboys are in the playoffs and they don't need the game as much, and then that point it might be a little different, and they can get their win. It's going to be 50-50 here. I don't think they're going to win the game at the end of the year because I think they're going to be playing Jackson Dart, and I don't know if he's going to win. He's going to be a rookie, so there's going to be some growing pains, and that's what you want to see. So unless the Cowboys are completely out of it because of injury, or completely out of it because they're in the playoffs, they're just playing backups. I think the Giants, dropped this one, unfortunately, because they're playing their rookie quarterback.
Yeah, right now I'm just gonna have to. I go with the Cowboys here just because right as of just what I know right now. I mean, Cowboys are a better team, and this game could be just mean too much to them. This could be an important game for them, where they just can't afford to drop to a team like the New York Giants. Unfortunately, if that is true, that means the New York Giants will have only won one division game again this year. So that's still not what you're looking for, honestly, based off of my calculations. So hopefully they do. Hopefully they prove me wrong and go out there and do a lot better. But right now, I mean, I just want it's more about the progress with the team with the Giants as opposed to really, like teams like the Eagles. Their expectations are the playoffs of Super Bowl. Giants were not there yet. I mean, if you make the playoffs, that would be like amazing. It would be great. But let's face it, I'm good with progress right now. I want to see positive progress. So this will be interesting, and this will be one hell of a schedule to get your feet wet as well, man. Because the Giants' schedule is absolutely brutal. But we got to get ready to wrap things up soon. But real quick, let's touch on a couple of these games for the Washington Commanders that we know about right now. I mean, they'll be playing a game overseas against the Miami Dolphins. I can't remember exactly where it is. Germany maybe or something like that. But think about the NFL and the international schedule, which is bigger and bigger than ever this season. By the way, I mean you're going to Spain, you're going to Ireland for games,
Crazy.
and yeah, the Miami Dolphins will be the Commanders will be playing the Miami Dolphins in one of those games. Just think about that matchup.
I think that matchup would be interesting. I mean, we don't know what Miami's going to do. They've had a terrible stretch of it since they lost to Tagovailoa. So we'll see. It's going to be again. What is it? Who would you say was the opponent? Or who's playing Miami? I just
Excuse
want
me.
to. You said it was Washington playing Miami.
Yeah,
I think. See, this is the tough part about Miami. They're so Jekyll and Hyde. They really are not like. I think they're going to lose to Miami because they don't think they have defensive personnel to match up. And it's going to be sad because I like Mike McDaniels and I thought he had something going down there. But this Miami team, what have they done? Like, seriously, what have they done?
I mean I agree. Another matchup that we know about for the Washington Commanders as of right now. In Week 16, they will be hosting the Philadelphia Eagles in a Week 16 matchup in December. Could be a big one right here. I mean, they look like they'll be playing the Eagles twice within 3 weeks. As a matter of fact,
That could be for the division.
We do know they'll be ending the season against the Eagles as well.
That could be the division.
How do you think this one plays out?
Well, I think they split with the Eagles. I do. I think they're not afraid. They're gonna be up for these games against the Eagles because of how dog walk they got last year, right? And being that it's a meaningful football games, they're gonna want to. They're gonna look at the Cowboys, look at the Giants, like, look, you're not on our level. We can beat you guys. We expect to beat you guys. But going to Philadelphia, this is their litmus test. We could see this matchup again in the NFC Championship game. Okay, where these teams split, and we're sitting here round 3 in the divisional round or the NFC Championship game, going, who's going to win, right? So it's the late season matchup. I think it's going to be for the division, but I don't think they come out on top. I think they just fall slightly short. I think the Eagles go 5-1. They will split with the Commanders, but I just think that the Commanders are going to drop one somewhere else. And that's where I believe that they're going to drop a second one. They'll probably drop another one to the Eagles or something like that. And they'll drop one to the Cowboys like they always do. and they'll beat the Giants, and they'll beat the Eagles once, and they'll beat the Cowboys once. So they'll beat the Giants twice, and they'll beat the Cowboys once, and they'll beat the Cowboys once, Eagles once, Giants twice, and then they'll lose to the Cowboys and the Cowboys and the Eagles to be 4-2. And I just think Philadelphia is going to lose one game. It's going to be to the Commanders, but I just don't think the Commanders will have enough. Sorry, I know that was a long-winded answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think this season, I think the Commanders had such a great year a season ago that they almost it's almost impossible. How do they truly improve upon that? I mean, they still have holes in this roster, and they still have some things that need to be addressed. And I just think this might be a little too much for them. I think the Eagles will be a little too much for them. Like I said, I just until somebody proves otherwise, the Eagles are just like they're a force. I hate to be sitting here slobbing all over the Eagles, but it just is what it is. They are a force. And until someone proves otherwise, it's hard for me to bet against them right now, man.
Yeah.
But let me see some interesting games for the Eagles that we haven't talked about yet. Eagles on Monday night, Week 10 Monday Night Football. Eagles going out to Green Bay, taking on the Packers, a rematch from Week 1 and the postseason season ago for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. So how you think they handled the Packers this year? Took care of them twice last season.
I think that's incredible again. Sometimes you have sometimes you got a team's number. They have until proven otherwise, they have the Packers number.
Yeah. Totally agree. But I think somehow the Packers may find a way this year. They may find a way in this Monday night in this matchup to finally get the Eagles, man. At some point, you got to sneak a win in against that guy, man. Those guys that just keep tearing you down, man. And I think Green Bay may find one here. This is one of those games where I mean, talking about two good football teams, but the Eagles are definitely a different class, but Green Bay is a good, solid football team, and I think they have some stuff that they want to prove out there, and they're in a very competitive division as well, one of the best divisions of football. So I think this is one of those letdown games for the Eagles, and the Green Bay gets them. All right, Black Friday, man, for the Eagles. Black Friday on Prime Video. It's gonna be on Amazon Prime. Playing Eagles will be hosting the Chicago Bears, man. How do you feel about that matchup on Prime for Black Friday?
Black Friday. Who was the Eagles again?
Yeah, the Eagles and the Bears.
Oh, I think it's gonna be a good game because they got the marquee quarterbacks. But I think the Eagles are gonna railroad that team. I just do. I just don't think the Bears we forget the Bears have a new coach. They're a new identity. I'm not expecting them to be awful, but I'm not expecting them to be world beaters either. And the Eagles, again, another team you gotta beat. Seems like the Eagles always play on Black Friday these last couple of years. And I think they're just gonna beat the Bears. It'll be a solid game. I hope we get to. I mean, I don't want these things to happen, right? I don't want the Eagles to be good, but I just feel like teams like this, they eat for lunch, right? These new teams, these young quarterbacks, they're going to eat them for lunch. And so we'll see what happens. But I think the Eagles are going to beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't think. I mean, the Bears are more. They're closer to the Giants than they are to the Eagles. You know what I mean? That's like to me, it's not really. I don't think it's a favorable matchup for the Bears at all. But a lot of things happen in these NFL seasons, and there's always some teams that surprise you. And who knows? Bears got off to a pretty good start the season ago, and then the wheels began to fall off, and and it didn't end very well for them. But I still think they're still not quite up to par with the Eagles right now. I think that's not really a matchup that favors them in any way, shape, or form. So I just think the Eagles will end up taking this on Black Friday. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up for right now. I mean, you guys can tune in the NFL Network, whatever, later on, and get the remainders of the schedules being released. Sorry, we didn't have more. I wish we could have had a little more to dig into with you guys, but it's still been you can still tune in and watch, and you can see where how the rest of these games are going to fall into place, man. And want to thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you go to my channel at MacDaGiantsFan and hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you go to Adam's channel at Adam Costas and do the same thing. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up for the stream, and also go to the Hardcore Sports Network and do all the same things. Hit the subscribe button, like the stream. I mean, everybody, we're out here grinding. We're getting here to the nitty gritty. Like Adam said, we're getting close to when we'll be back on regularly every week. Right now, we're still not quite there yet because it's just not really that much news. We're getting ready to hit a slow period of the off season, so I'm not really sure when we'll be back. But we'll be back regularly soon, guys. And we just want to appreciate all the guys that came through today. You guys showing support Doomsday. We definitely appreciate you dropping in. Miz, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Alex dropped in earlier. Brandon Hollum, appreciate you guys coming in, man. Mosley. So definitely appreciate the support, appreciate the love, man. We'll be back sometime soon, man. I don't know, like I said, I can't give you an exact date, but I'll keep you posted on the community tab whenever we get ready to drop another episode. I am Mac the Giants fan. This is my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas, and this has been another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. Pace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MacDa Giants Fan.